she left me. I'm hurt even. Good Gratitude Day, fam. How you doing? How you doing?
All the big and small ones, the ones who win and lose, all of the remembered, even the forgotten. We come from every nation. Look in our eyes, you see it's true. We are, they are, each one is God's gift to the world. Oh, and we are, they are, each one is God's gift to the world. We know we are, and they are, each one, it's God's gift to the world.
Good morning, heart and soul. And Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christ Mass.
Yes.
Because that's what's up. Yes? For real, for real. There is something that, thank you, Destiny. Thank you. Thank you. Each one of us is God's gift to the world. What a powerful Christmas message. What a powerful ideation for us to give birth to take in. What if we were to say that now? I am God's gift to the world. Let's together.
I am God's gift to the world.
And now let's just pause for a moment and take that in. Because it means something. It's always nice to recite in community. There's something that feels good about the resonance of that. But I want to say this ain't that. Because this is us actually declaring the truth about our being. Yeah? I am God's gift to the world. There's a part of me that wants to just go sit down and just kind of be with that, because to some extent, it feels like a lot. It feels like more is required of me in an awareness that I am God's gift to the world. Ooh. I feel like something more is required of me. If I'm the gift, then I'm required to give that. What did Neville say? Remember, for the past couple of weeks, Neville says you and you alone are responsible for every circumstance and every event that you encounter in your life. Now that I know, now that we know that each of us is God's gift to the world, and we know that we already have a certain level of responsibility for all. That's a lot, huh? And what I know is that we can do it. That this is doable. This is beable. This is actionable by us. Only if we decide. Now look, my sense is that in this teaching, which is quite magnificent, I've shared with you many times how I came to this teaching from a very, very difficult place. And a bit of a cynic, I would say, is kind of how I approached it, even though I was drawn to it because I had already gotten some benefit. In the initial, the way it came to me with the teaching, I started using affirmation, I began to think in a different way. I began to put thoughts together. In a different way, I began to change my belief system. I didn't know I was doing this, but I could feel, what I felt literally was that the heaviness, the dread, the depression, the distress was tremendously eased, even as the teaching made clear that I was responsible. I didn't feel like it was trying to tell me that I was to blame. That instead, I was responsible. And what I pretty immediately discerned, because it's the way my mind works, is, if I'm responsible, if I am able to respond to this, then I have some power. Yeah. I started out in it feeling like I didn't have any power. And that was a huge part of the distress that I felt at the circumstance, that I was at the effect of whatever the circumstance was. And I didn't have any clear sense that there was a way that I could be free. But it began to come to me, and I began to see evidence of my power. Now, I knew I didn't know anything. I mean, I knew I didn't understand this teaching. I hadn't read all the things that I've read now. I hadn't studied in the way. I hadn't sat still as long as I have now. But what I noticed is it was working. And what I've come today to say is that it works because you work it. And only if. One of the things I notice is in community and in classes, often folks come like I did, hurting and wanting some relief. And some of us are looking for the magic. We're looking for life to change, circumstances to change, but for us to stay the same. Now, that may work on some planet. There may be a planet in the universe where that works, where you simply think, I want that to be different, and that is different. This planet isn't ordered that way. My observation and experience is that in order that's part of the process though, is to come to an awareness. It's a prodigal daughter moment. When you come to an awareness that this ain't serving me. I don't need to be in these circumstances. There's something more that's available to me. Now, if you can't get there, then you're just often in the churn and burn of the situation circumstance. But the moment you can kind of look up, somebody said, you know, if you can look up, you can probably get up. But if you can look up and have an awareness, a sense that I ain't doing this. For me, it's kind of a get thee behind me moment. You know, where I come to myself and I realize that I've been doing it. I'm like, wait just a minute, I can see where this leads. If I keep this up, I will continue to have what I have now, just kind of more of it. It'll be deeper and a groove. The groove will be cut more deeply in me, as me. Is this making sense?
Yes.
And I'm almost asking because this is not the talk. Except that it is, clearly. Whew, okay. All right, Merry Christmas. All righty then. Because there is literally this opportunity in our awareness. And this is what I would encourage us to practice. Look, on New Year's Eve, I wanted to, it's a celebration of our awareness. Because I realized as I was working with the slide that you saw, and I know this is completely out of order, but if it's possible to put that up, because I wanted to, you know, just pray for me, pray for them, because I know they are magnificent in like so many ways, in the way that they serve and show up, and all of it, and I'm just not making it easy. I hadn't intended to be difficult. In my defense, allow me to say this. So as I was working on this visual, I kept wanting to put celebration in it. And it is a celebration of our decision to shift and to show up in the shift. But often when we think about a New Year's Eve, you know, it ain't gonna be the party part. That's gonna come. The celebration is coming. So we can begin to get the energetic presence of that within us. But on next Sunday night at 10 p.m. when we begin this process, it is a transformational gathering is what this is, to guide us into making 2024 the best year yet. That's our intention, is to set up to support each and every one in setting this up so that you can prove for you. I had to prove for me. Many of y'all already know my story, that I sat there armed for bear, thinking, I'm going to prove this. I'm either prove that it works, or I will be proving that it doesn't work. And so I don't care how you approach it. But just know that this is to begin to get you supported in proving it. Now, here's the thing. In order to prove it, you're going to have to do it. Life is really not for wimps. I mean, living life fully really isn't. If you intend to just skim it, it's okay. Just get you your champagne or your sparkling cider and hang out and do whatever you do. But if you're looking for next year to be transformed for you in a way that you can feel and know without a doubt, then you want to get set up to prove that it works. I know this stuff works, but only because I worked it. And I allowed it to work in, through, and as me. If I hadn't, I'm sure I'd be living a different life. Or not. So I say that very specifically that way, because this season in particular, coming through COVID and life during the past 3 years has created for some people like a continuous 3-year equivalent to the Christmas season. For some of us, the Christmas season is celebratory. And we have places to go and people to see, and we're sending out cards and we're buying gifts and we're receiving the same in return. And that's not true for everyone. For some people, even though they're getting gifts, they're not at a point where they have the space to receive them, where they have the space to even receive the acknowledgement. Because life is an inside job. If we're not doing the inner work, it really doesn't matter about I don't want to say that as an absolute. It doesn't matter as much as you might think it would. So your card was received, but only in the mail. Is this making sense? So for someone, and it's not going to be easy, she said, given a testimony, this is not easy. I understand when the disciples said to the master teacher, Yeshua, that the world ultimately came to call Jesus, this is a hard teaching. This is a hard teaching. Let me say, there's something about doing it in community, though. It's kind of like putting a little sugar in it, maybe. You know what I'm saying? Now, that doesn't work for castor oil, just so you know. A little sugar on castor oil just makes it nasty. But it does work with this. If we can be in community and do this work together, it may help someone through. The work can be done solo. But if you're willing to do it in community, it may mean that someone who can't do it solo can find a way. That's why we do this. It's not that we couldn't do this on our own. We do it in community because for some folks, they would have to do it that way. They would come for the fun, for the music, for the connection, and then they'd stay for the transformation. Any question about this? This has started, I'm like you, I just don't have a chair. That's the only difference this morning. I'm like, is that what the talk is? Okay. Glad I came on Christmas Eve. Any question? Yes, Krista. Yes. Yes. I don't, because I'm not going to give any advice. I have some ideas. So the question, Chris, the question as I heard it, if there's someone in your life who is having the experience of not being, I don't want to, not having a clear capacity right now. I'm choosing my words very carefully. There's someone in your life who clearly is exhibiting, clearly expressing that they do not have the capacity right now to receive the love, the gift of life. And what do you do? What can you do? My sense is, and this is just, I'm drawing from having been that girl. Having said goodbye to folks at work, knowing that I intended to commit suicide that night. And saying my goodbyes in a way that was subtle. Because I didn't want them to know, but I did want them to know when they found out that I had said goodbye to them, that I'd cared enough. And then, obviously, you know how that worked out. In my mind, when I see it, I forget that I'm here now. So I feel like I need to tell you that it didn't work. but it just occurred to me that you can see that it didn't work. But in my case, when I awakened the next morning and realized that a bottle of pills that I had taken only had me groggy that morning, that I knew I needed to get up and go to work. What I realize is that the folks who know, here's what I believe, here's my sense. The folks who recognize that first of all, the key is to recognize. Can I just say thank you for recognizing? Because some of us are so busy and so distracted that we aren't necessarily noticing that there's someone in our midst who is in that state of being. So for the one who notices, my sense is all you have, and that's all it takes, is love. Now, it doesn't mean that you are going to change the destiny that they're choosing. But it does mean that you're showing up in and as love. And there's no way to have a Christmas season talk that isn't love-centered. Because that's what was birthed. That this whole notion of something being birthed that we call Christmas, the Christ Mass, is love in form. And so my sense is that to the extent that each and every one of us can, as God, remember who we are. We're God's gift to the world. So I think my response would be, is give the gift. And that's all, none of us is responsible for another's life. Remember, we're responsible for us. And so in that response, we're loving as we can. And it will make the difference it makes. Love always makes a difference. I realize in retrospect, I can see it now because I'm looking through different eyes. At the time, I could not see nor could I feel the love in the way that I do now, that I can recognize and sense. And I know I'm not alone in this. And I know also, hear me clearly, I don't have the silver bullet. I have an expanded awareness. And hopefully that is helpful to someone. Does that help? Thank you. This notion of what we're up to is a launch for New Year's Eve. It's not the thing itself, it's a launch. And in this launch, it will be about releasing what was, engaging what is. And when we're troubled like this, we can't release what was. What was is what is. And we really can't distinguish. Let me not make it plural. I couldn't distinguish. And we are committed to do some visioning, engage, each one engaged in envisioning their greatest yet to be. Here's a little pro tip, is that when from this place that I'm speaking of, where I was, this was this time of year in 1968, is how long ago this was. Is that I couldn't envision a future. It felt to me that I would always feel this way, that way. So in December of 1968, my little young mind felt like what I was experiencing was what I would experience for the rest of my days. And I knew I couldn't take that. And of course, now I know how mistaken I was. And now I know how many times I've had experiences that I would say, oh, I can't do this. I got about 5 more minutes of this, or I can do this for another week. But that's a healthier mindset and condition. And so my sense is that kindness, loving kindness, yeah, Compton, is a huge part of what we can offer to be that authentically. And then I moved to say, and don't wait. Don't wait till then. Be that now. Be that now, because we don't know. We don't know. Wow, I just, whew. Okay, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Let's just, whoa. Okay, let's shift the energy, praise God. And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons. It came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags. And he puzzled and puzzled till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. What if Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store? What if Christmas perhaps means something more? Go on, Grinch, teach. Dr. Daniel Morgan. Valda, please bring me my little clicker, because I'm up here with nothing to move around but my finger. Dr. Daniel Morgan, in his, we're reading for 2023 the guidance for a spiritual journey. And he has written for us for today, for Christmas Eve. Just getting this in here so I have the wherewithal to control it. He says that the Grinch leaves us with this idea that maybe Christmas means something more than the way we've been engaging it. I'm sorry, was there another question? Give me just a second. I realized that, okay, thank you. My apologies, I just felt that I was moving before it was complete. Thank you.
Thank you. So, I do believe that we call forth our experiences. and I teach that. And I stumble when my family or folks or clients ask me, well, what about the children? What about what's happening in Gaza? How did they call that to them? And I answer, and something comes through me, and I answer, and oftentimes when I'm through answering, I forget what I've said. So I'm asking you, what would you say?
Oh, dear. Repeat your question, please.
Okay. I absolutely believe and know that we call forth our experiences, and it's what I practice as much as I possibly can, and it's what I teach. And I stumble when my friends or family or clients or folks that are just angry ask, well, what about the children, or what about what's happening in Gaza? Did they call this to them? How could that be possible? And in the moment, an answer comes through, and it feels like, and it seems to work in that moment, but I often forget what I've said. And what I'm asking is, what would you say to that?
I have no idea. My sense is that my response would be in the moment. Right now, energetically, it feels more hypothetical. You know, it's a what would you say? And I think each of us has, I don't believe that there's like an answer girl, answer guy on the planet. Even Google doesn't. That there is a divine energetic in each of us, if we have first cleared the way to know. I need to say that first. Many of us don't want to know. And so we will never have an answer or a sense of any of that. I'm not one who believes that that my role in life, or that anyone has the role of doing the dot-to-dot correlation across humanity. I feel that, does that make sense if I say it that way? That you have a situation, circumstance that is X, Y, and Z. It's a mass shooting. It's a, name it. It's all the stuff that we hear about, and some of us have been involved in. I don't believe that it's anybody's proper job. There may be people who step into it to try to connect the dots, to say, oh, that was because, and this is because. What I know is that there is order in the universe. And so because I know that, everything else forms out of that. There's order in the universe, and so there's no way this is out of order. I'm not aware of a time on the planet where there wasn't war. So that doesn't mean that I feel like, oh, okay, war. That's just what we do. It is what we have done. It is what we are doing, and I don't know that it means that it is all that we can do for forever. But I know it's going to require, because I understand how the creative process, even as it is illustrated in Genesis, is the word. It's the thought and the word. So we are forever creating from our thoughts and our words, and certainly our deeds as well. But that's the creative process. So I know that there's no way that I'm not a part of the war in Gaza. There's no way I can be on the planet at this time and not be a part of. Now, I'm also a part of this amazing good. I'm simply a part. None of us can parcel off the pieces we like and be that, and then have somebody else be responsible for the pieces we don't like. If we are here at this time, and we are, our heartprint is on the universe. It's how have we been thinking? What have we been saying? Oh, Lord, that's scary, isn't it? When we really take responsibility for what we've been thinking and what we've been saying. We are horrified with the level of racism and misogyny and the whole list. But for every time we say that, we presence it. And every time we participate in it, we multiply it. So part of what we've got to learn, myself included, is our impact in our lives and in the collective. So it's not a blame or shame, it's an awareness. It's a raise our awareness. Many of us get this on that initial level when we first notice our self-talk. Now, most self-talk, it's under the radar. It's the way we think, and decades ago, when I did some work, I was horrified when I realized how I talked to me. Now, I never said it aloud, but it was the way I thought about me. Let me make an error. Be responsible for something and mess something up. Now, it could be professionally. So I'm in the corporation and my boss is just like, ooh, you could clean that up. It's not a problem. But I kicked myself around until I just wore out the kicking. I'm not even sure how I stopped, because I continued to think about myself a certain way. Never stopping to think that they hired you because you could clean it up too. You'd do all the good stuff that kept you there. You'd make a mistake. You'd clean that up. You'd move on. So on the outside, it looked like I was doing that. On the inside, I was killing me. And all of that has an imprint on the universe, on the collective energy. Does that make sense? Every time you are self-abusing, in whatever way, verbally, emotionally, physically, it's a print in the universe. It's part of the collective consciousness. When we say collective consciousness, there's no opting out. It's all of the thinking. It's all of us. Race thought is race thought. It's the universal collective at a certain energetic level. Thank you. I hope. I don't pretend that I have the answer. I have some musings. They spray something in here, I think. That when I get up here, there's like a truth serum or something that happens, and there's way more of sharing than I would ever be consciously, intentionally aiming to do. You know, there's not a note that says, tell them about that. And I'm like, no, I ain't telling them about that. I ain't telling about that. I don't know. I already talked too much. So, whew. Lord, help me right here. Just let me, okay, look at here. Ernest Holmes. Help us, Sister out, Ernest. In the Science of Mind magazine for Christmas Day 1929. When I heard that question, I actually regretted that I didn't bring all my little notes. I can see them on my desk at home right now because there was a piece that was from Christmas 1949 that spoke to the world at that time, the war, and the energy of folks. And I kind of wish I had it and then something else happened. But look, this is what was published in the Science of Mind magazine on Christmas Day of 1929. Peace on earth and goodwill to, I'm saying all, it said men. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Heaven is harmony, and harmony is many tones in unison. One note is not harmony, and one alone would not be heaven. The one manifest in the many, and the many recognizing the one in all. This was the teaching of him whose birth we celebrate today. As we harmonize with all humankind, the great chord of the angel anthem peals forth its message of peace on earth and goodwill to all. There's something that we have to know in all of this. And there's something that we have to let go of. Many of us were raised or trained in ways that we realize don't serve us right now in being the citizen of the world that we intend to be, or that we know we'd love to be. And so there's an unlearning, a letting go, and a relearning for who can I be right now? How can I be? And live more in alignment with the truth of my being. In the, as I close, I want to share a couple of things with you. Okay. In our daily read, Guidance for a Spiritual Journey, Dr. Daniel Morgan offers this affirmation and a quote by Charles Dickens. He affirms, "It's Christmas Day. I celebrate," and this is the Christmas Eve, so I'm going to shift this. It's Christmas Eve. I celebrate the birth of Christ, which I commemorate at this season, meaning that I should more deeply realize that the Spirit of God is individualized in, as, and through me, and personal to me. And I chose that because it's a powerful awareness for any and all of us. He quotes Charles Dickens as saying, "I will honor Christmas in my heart and try to keep it all the year." So one of my colleagues, Reverend Valerie Reeves, wrote this. "'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through my mind, I was thinking of all the great things I might find. Affirmations were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that my consciousness soon would be there. Inner garbage was wrapped all up in a bow. From the outside, I might have appeared as a pro. I kept burying all the old stuff. Consciously speaking, my mind needed a muff. When negativity was my only mind chatter, I sprang to awareness to see what's the matter. When what to my wondering eyes should appear, but science of mind people saying, get your stuff clear. With a new thought teaching so lively and quick, I thought for a moment, this might be a trick. Up until now, please hear, they said, your world you've created with thoughts in your head. Life is a journey that you've been granted. Be mindful of the thoughts that you've planted. Be brilliant, be loving, be perfectly smart. Love who you are and open your heart. You are the gift, the vision is clear. Be consciously mindful, there's no need to fear. And I heard them exclaim as they drove out of sight, Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night. God is in everyone. Our work is to see God in everyone. Destiny Muhammad, our purpose for the hood.
Everything beneath the sun breathes like a harmonium. Pure perfection has begun, shining like a midnight sun. Pure perfection has begun, and I see God in everyone, rolling like a thundercloud. Let me live my love out loud, standing tall for mankind proud. I'm baptized in a holy shroud. Pure perfection has me now, and I see God in everyone. God, let me know your names. Show me in the same breath as your word. Oh God, I see you all around me. Oh, how you astound me with your grace, with your grace. Rolling like a thundercloud. Let me live my love out loud. Pure perfection has me now. I'm baptized in a holy shroud. Pure perfection has me now. Knowing God is what I found. And God, let me know your names. Hold me in the same breath as your word. God, God, I feel you all around me. Oh, how you astound me with your grace. God and God, let me know your names. Hold me in the same breath as your word, God. I feel you all around me. Oh, how you astound me with your grace. Spinning like a prayer feels, moving like Ezekiel's wills. Nothing like a kiss seals the spirit I've become. I'm knowing what I'm here for, moving on to distant shores, flowing with the infinite, God and everyone. And knowing what I'm here for, moving on to distant shores, flowing with the infinite, God and everyone. I know what I'm here for. I'm flowing on the distant shores, flowing with the infinite, God and everyone, God and everyone, God and everyone. Oh, and God, let me know your names. Show me in the same breath as your word. God, God, I feel you all around me. Oh, how you let me know your names, and I hold you in the same breath as your word. And God, I feel you all around me. Oh, how you astound me with your grace, with your grace. Out of darkness I have come. Out of darkness I have come. Out of darkness I have come. I see God in everyone.